Mother gently placed the sleeping Ali on a cluttered spot on the floor. Maria had fallen asleep too, and was carried over to sleep beside her brother. Waking up, Mother said. Slowly they put them back together. Urbana's back and leg ached. Mother moved slowly too, all hunched over. Mother and Nuria replaced things in the cupboard. Urbana got the whisk broom down from the ceiling in the lavatory and swept up the spiller rice. She wiped off the spilled tea with a cloth. The repaired toshas could be repaired, but that will wait until tomorrow. When the room looked somewhat normal again, the family, meaning father, spread quilts and blankets on the floor and went to bed. Havana couldn't sleep. She could hear her mother and Nuria tossing and turning as well. She imagined every single noise to be either father or the teleman coming back. Each sound made Parvana hopeful and fearful at the same time. She misses her father when he have a soft place to sleep. Was he cold? Was he hungry? Was he scared? Havana had never been inside a prison, but she had other relatives who had been arrested. One of her aunts had been arrested with hundreds of other schoolgirls for protesting the Soviet occupation of her country. All the Afghan governments put the enemies in jail. You can't be truly Afghan if you don't know someone who be in prison, her mother sometimes said. No one had told her what prison was like. You are too young to know these things. The grown-ups would tell her. She had to imagine it. It will be cold, Parvana decided, and dark. Mother, turn off the lamp. She sat bolt upright with a sudden thought. Parvana, hush. You'll wake Ali. At the lamp, Parvana whispered, the situation. Parvana lay down again, but she didn't sleep. The only window in the room was a small one, high up on one wall. The telephone had all the old windows painted over with black paint so that no one could see the woman inside. We won't do it, Father had said. The window is so high and small, no one can possibly see in. So far they have gotten away with leaving it unpainted. For short periods on clear days, the sun will come through the window in a thin stream. Ali and Miriam will sit in that ray of sunshine. Mother and Nuria will join them thereon for a few moments. The sun will warm the flesh of their arms and faces. Then the planet will continue its spin and the sunbeam will be gone again. Pavana kept her eyes on the spot where she thought the window was. The night was so dark, she could not distinguish between the window and the wall. She kept watch all night until the dawn finally pushed the darkness away, and morning peeked in through the window. At first light, Mother and Nuria and Parvana stopped pretending they were asleep. Quietly, so they didn't wake the young ones, they got up and dressed. For breakfast, they chewed on leftover naan. Nuria started to heat water for tea on the little gas stove in the bedroom, but Mother stopped her. There is boiled water left from last night. We'll just drink that. We don't have time to wait for tea. Urbana and I are going to get your father out of jail. She said it the way she might say, Urbana and I are going to the market to get peaches. The now fell from Urbana's lips onto the plastic cloth. She didn't argue though. She didn't argue though. Maybe I'll get to finally see what the inside of a jail looks like, she thought. The prison was a long way from their home. Bosses were not permitted to carry women. Bosses were not permitted to carry women who didn't know have a man with them. They would have to walk the whole way. What if father was being held somewhere else? What if they were stopped at the Taliban in the street? Mother wasn't supposed to be out of her home without a man, or without a note from her husband. Nuria wrote Mother a note. Don't bother, Nuria. I will not walk around my own city with a note pinned to my burqa as if I were a kindergarten child. I have a university degree. Write the note anyway, Ravana whispered to Nuria when Mother was in the washroom. I'll carry it in my sleeve. Nuria agreed. Her penmanship was more grown up than Ravana's. She quickly wrote, I give permission for my wife to be outside. She signed it with father's name. I don't think it will do much good, Nuria whispered. as she handed Parvana the note. Most of the Taliban don't know how to read. Parvana didn't answer. She quietly folded the note into a small square and tucked it into the one hem of her sleeve. Nuria suddenly did something very unusual. She gave her sister a hug. "Come back," she whispered. Parvana didn't want to go, but she knew that sitting home waiting for them to return would be a bit harder. "Hurry up, Parvana," her mother said. "Your father is waiting." Parvana slipped her feet into her sandals and wound her chador around her head. She followed mother out the door. Helping mother down the broken stair was a little like helping father, as the billowing burqa made it hard for her to see where she was going. Mother hesitated at the bottom of the stairs. Parvana thought she might be having second thoughts. After that moment, though, her mother pulled herself up to her full weight, straightened her back and plumped into the cobbled street. Parvana rushed after her. She had to run to keep up with her mother's long, quiet steps, but she didn't dare fall behind. There were a few other women in the street and they all wore the regulation burqa, which made them all look alike. If Parvana lost track of her mother, she was afraid she never found her again. Now and then, her mother stopped beside a woman, or a small group of men, or even a peasant boy, and held out a photograph of father. She didn't say anything, just showed them the photo. Parvana held her breath every time her mother did this. Photographs were illegal. Any of these people could turn Parvana and her mother over to the militia. But everyone looked at the photo, then shook their heads. Many people had been arrested. Many people had disappeared. They knew what mother was asking without her having to say anything. Shakri prison was a long walk from Parvana home. By the time the huge fortress came into view, her legs were sore, her feet ached, and worst of all, she was scared all over. The prison was dark and ugly, and it made Parvana feel even smaller. Malali wouldn't be afraid, Parvana knew. Malali would form an Malali would form an army and lead it in a storming of the prison. Malali would lick her lips as such a challenge. Her knees wouldn't be shaking as Parvana were. If Parvana's mother was scared, she didn't show it. She marched straight up to the prison gates and said to the guard, "I'm here for my husband." The guard doesn't know her. "I'm here for my husband," mother said again. She took out father's photograph and held it from on the face of one of the guards. "He was arrested last night. He was committed no crime, and I want him released." More guards began to gather. Parvana gave a little chunk of her mother's burqa. Her mother ignored her. "I'm here for my husband," she kept saying, louder and louder. Parvana tugged harder on the loose cloth of the burqa. "Hold steady, my little Malali," she heard her father say her mind. Suddenly she felt very calm. "I'm here for my father," she called out. Her mother looked down at her. Her mother looked down at her through the screen over her eyes. She reached down and took Parvana's hand. "I'm here for my husband," she called again. Over and over, Parvana and her mother kept yelling out their mission. More and more men came to stare at them. "Be quiet," ordered one of the guards. "You should not be here. Go from this place. Go back to your home." One of the soldiers snatched the photo from her father and tore it into pieces. Another started hitting her mother with a stick. "Release my husband," her mother kept saying. Another soldier joined the beating and hit Parvana too. Although he did not hit her very hard, Parvana fell to the ground, her body covered in the piece of her father's photograph. In a flash, she tucked the pieces out of her sack under her chador. Her mother was also on the ground. The soldier's sticks hit her across her back. Parvana leaped to her feet. "Stop! Stop it! We'll go now! We'll go!" She grabbed the arm of one of her mother's attackers. He shook her off as if she were a fly. "Who are you to tell me what to do?" But he did lower his teeth. Get out of here! He spotted Parvana and her mother. Parvana knelt down to her mother's arm and helped her to her feet. Slowly, with her mother leaning on her for support, they humbled away from the prison.